We're having a quick look at the subtraction algorithm here, and at the end I'll say a quick note about an old method that was used that is very much out of favour today. So our first question here is a fairly easy question because the numbers at the bottom are all lower than the numbers directly above them. So working in the units column here, I have 3 minus 1 is 2. I have 4 minus 2 is 2. That's complete. Moving on to the next question, the 5 at the bottom here is larger than the 1 at the top, which means I'd end up with negative numbers when I subtract, and I want to avoid that. So I take one of the 10s from this column and move it across to here, so I now have my 7 has been split up. I read this as 11. 1 and 1 is 11, and 11 minus 5 is 6. Then I'm saying 6 minus 1 is 5, and 4 minus 3 is 1. If I follow the same approach on the next question here, 7 minus 9, that would lead me into negative numbers. I'm going to change that. So 3 and 17. 17 minus 9 is 8. 3 minus 6, that would lead me into negative numbers. I'll split up that 2 into a 1 and a 1. 13 minus 6 is 7. 1 minus 1 is 0. And so I'll leave that there. Now a quick note about the method that is not very much in favour, and when you hear a parent or a grandparent saying that's not the way I learnt it, this is the method they're talking about. So if we take 247 and 169, what they learnt was actually perfectly valid. It's just not the technique that's in favour. And what they learnt was that we can conveniently add 10 in the first case to both numbers. So for instance, I look at my 7 and my 9 and I say, the 9 is not going to be subtracted from the 7 without making a negative number, so I need to add 1 here, making that 17. So I'm not adding 1 really, am I? I'm adding 10. Now because I've added 10 here, I go through and add 10 here as well, so I get 17. I'll just change colours. 17 there, sorry, 7 there and 17 there. 17 minus 9 is 8. 4 minus 7, can't do that. We're going to do that same thing again of adding. This time, what I'm really doing is I'm adding 100 to both columns, to both numbers. So 14 there, and the 1 there goes to a 2. 14 minus 7 is 7. 2 minus 2 is 0, leaving me with 78. When I learnt this as a child, this was called add 1, and the other was called top-line subtraction. I think many teachers are uncomfortable with that older way of learning it because they find it difficult to explain what's going on. In reality, what's going on is that since you're adding the same value to both numbers, the answer that you end up with is valid. I do hear the argument sometimes that you can't just add something out of nowhere. Well, when you get to doing higher levels of maths, adding something out of nowhere is actually a really common process. And I don't have a problem with this method because of that. But what's in vogue and what your teacher probably wants you to do is top-line subtraction.